Good morning, good afternoon. God bless you.
Hello, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you? Phenomenal day.
Fine.
That is great. Let me say, I just want to first thank you for joining us today. I have been working very diligently, we want to give a shout out to Mr. Vaughn. You are the awesomest thing happening. Thank you, sir. So, Miss Stanis, let's do this. I want to talk to you. And can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. First, let me just say that the title and just doing research, oh my goodness, research on this book.
Thank you.
Hallelujah.
Thank you.
Your transparency and the authentic readership that you brought, you didn't leave anything unturned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me tell you, I am just in awe because I was sharing with one of my great organizations, the African American Alzheimer's Forum we held 2 weeks ago. And I spoke about your title. They just were in awe. And so let's not, take up too much time. I mean, let me be clear. My name is Senior Talk with Claire Hubbard. I care for seniors and veterans. But today's special broadcast is brought to you through one of our community partners, Head Paralegal Services. So thank you for Head Paralegal Services for making this happen for us. Now, we're going to fast forward into something phenomenal. You have a great bio. The world knows you as everybody's favorite daughter, favorite granddaughter, not granddaughter, but sister. You've been sister to many of us. But let me ask you this. As you had a career and you're now moving into your book tour, and then you get some information and you love the term your endearing mother, you call her mommy, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Yes.
As you're on tour.
Yes.
And that's what we call life happens. Yes. We're all busy and life happens. So what was that thing that you were doing and it pulled you to say, hey, I have to work with this right now to make sure that my mommy is secure as you're on tour and doing everything you were doing?
Yes. Well, when I got that diagnosis, when I got, my brother called me, my mother was living in New York and I was in LA and I was traveling, and my brother called me and he said, I think it's time for you to come and get mommy. And I knew what that meant. Something was wrong. So, as you know, in the book, I tell you all the little tiny details. But when I picked my mama up, I knew my mother was going to live with me no matter what, whether she had Alzheimer's or she would live to 109. But, when that happened, I was back then, it was before I had her. Let me see. She passed in 2011, so I had her 8 years before that. So in that time, people were in denial. It was like family, and I'm like, oh no, well maybe, more vitamins, more this, more that. And then she kept doing things like repeating herself and everything. And I said, oh no, we're going to take you to the doctor just to see what's going on. And that's when she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And with my knowledge, not knowing at that time what this disease really was, I thought vitamins and minerals and all that should have happened way before Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
But now it was too late. So the doctor gave me a medication for her, and I just couldn't believe it. It was just, it was so devastating. And so when I gave mommy the medication, it did help her a bit. And then she said, oh, I'm back. So for a minute, but it's really not there's really no medication that really can help it. It can slow it down. So I said, well, mommy, we are going to be on the road together. And I packed my mother up every day. And wherever I went, she was dressed up. I get her up early and I dress her up and I get dressed and we go to the book signing. Let me tell you. And she traveled with me for about, excuse me, my dog. Thank you. She traveled with me for about 5-6 years, And I'm talking about every day, all weekends, everything. She was a trooper. And and then I just decided one day, I said, Mama, wouldn't it be nice if you had a book too? Because everybody kept asking her, well, how do you get her to good times? And I noticed my mother was answering at first, and then it started to go a little left, you know. Every time they would ask her, you know, I could see the decline. So what I did was, as time went on, about 4 years later, I had her sit to my right in the back, and I said, but we're going to write that book. But when I got home to start writing the book with her, the Alzheimer's started coming on in, and I just didn't have I didn't have time.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was, okay, I didn't even have time for me. I said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to focus on my mother. I'm going to do the book tours because I had, you know, committed that. I said, but I'm going to focus on my mother because this thing is taking her down, and I'll deal with myself later. You know, and I did it, and I couldn't write the book, but I was there with her. I dressed her up and everything. And I started to notice that my health was going down.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, because I gained a lot of weight. You know, every time Mommy would eat, she would forget she ate, and she would eat again, and always wanted me to eat with her. So because of my love for my mother, and I just wanted to give her everything she wanted, I would eat with her, you know, and I was gaining. She was losing. I don't know why she was losing. Mom, why are you losing? I'm gaining.
But you know what? Let me say this. Having been a part of this African American Alzheimer's Forum about 2 weeks ago, one of the presenters said just what you just said, but here's the term she gave. It was called compassion fatigue.
Wow, that's a beautiful name.
You see what I'm saying? There's a way to deliver that, what you just said, but it's compassion fatigue. And it's not that you are not there for your loved one, but we're slightly fatigued, but your passion is so strong, you still keep moving.
That's right.
I can understand that. So let me ask you this. Now, I'm going to only assume, what was your mother's profession?
My mother was a bookkeeper.
See, I knew something with I said she looked like a school teacher or something. Yeah. She looked like a school or someone in education. She just had to look. So let me, and I want to share this with you. On the back of your book, I thought that I was writing this myself because I have an aunt who has passed on. But this is what you said, or this is the statement. It said, did the shock of your father's end of life trigger Alzheimer's in your mother?
Yes.
And I believe that is very possible, especially through strong marriages. They do a lot of things together. I have an aunt who was an educator, and literally within a year or two after my uncle passed, because they did everything together, grocery store, he's making car to beauty salon, you know, all of that. He's in a barbershop. They did everything together. We saw that decline.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the critical things is for us as African Americans, hear us clearly, please do not try to self-diagnose. We try to self-diagnose when you mention the vitamins and everything. I mean, come on. There are multiple resources now that we have and available to us. So please, families, don't try to self-diagnose. And we'll give more information out. Of course, our friends at the African American Alzheimer's Forum, I'm on the media team, and we are just trying to communicate, especially during this pandemic. Hello, Jesus.
Oh, yes.
A lot of us are seniors and veterans and older Americans who are living better and getting better with age, as we call them. We are literally, the inactivity can be a lot.
Yes, it can. But you know what we have to do? We have to stimulate the mind, the imagination, keep it peaceful, keep music going. Now, if you have Alzheimer's, people in the home who have Alzheimer's, I would recommend getting the old-fashioned earphones that go over your ears and over your head. You know, the ones that go over your head and stuff. Yeah. And because they cut out a lot of chatter, they cut out the noise, and you could put some beautiful music on for them in their era. And trust me, snap out of it. It's like they go back into the music takes them back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Pull your audio up. So your audio went down just a little bit for me. I think I lost a little bit.
Wait a minute. My daughter is calling. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. Hello. Are you there?
There we go. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Now, I'm sorry about that. They love music.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes them back to their days when they remember. They don't remember the new music so much, but they go back to when they were 20 and 30 and 40.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you this. I work with the DJ here on our broadcast. His name is Al Greer. And we have something called Midday Music Memories.
Oh, that's nice.
So what we do, and we have done it, when the elements were better in our community, we would go to senior buildings and nursing homes, their patios, and we played old school dusties. And there were people who would not even come out to socialize, but when they heard that music, they were outside having a great time. And just to see them close their eyes and have those memories, as you mentioned, music, when you feel music, sometimes the song Bob Marley says, you feel no pain.
No, because you go right back into where you were at that time.
That's
and
right.
especially if they were in love with someone. I mean, it just brings back all the beautiful their thoughts that they had,
Absolutely.
And that's what we must do with them, because otherwise they're lost.
Mm-hmm.
They're lost in this world, and they can't relate to the world as it is.
Right.
So if you keep music going on with them, they will be happy. They will have a world that they can visit.
Absolutely. And there are so many things that we're watching on social media, as you mentioned, with music in itself, where caregivers are playing music. And I saw one that just brought me to tears. This lady was I think she was 97 years old, previous ballerina. And
I saw that.
Right. And she was doing the arm elements and just orchestrating that through her arms. And everyone around her was so touched. And she looked so phenomenal. And it was just a blessing that, as you said, that music. So I'm going to stay on that. I really am. So
because she was there on that stage at that moment.
That's right. That's right. She sure was. So we got on something else because we're having such a great time. But do you think your father's end of life triggered your mother's Alzheimer's?
Absolutely, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I do. And as I grew as a woman, I realized something. I remember the day my father died. The very next day, my mother looked at all of her children, mm-hmm. and she was only 59 years old. Mm. And she said to us, "That's it.
Wow.
I'm done." And we knew what she meant.
Yeah.
Now, 59 is not old. It was old then in 20 years. It was old then, mm-hmm. in 1991. Maybe it was getting old, but now it's not old. Mm-hmm. And what she was saying is that there will be no other man in my life. Mm-hmm. And so my brother said to her, "Mom, you're going through a lot. Maybe as time goes on." And she said, "No way." And then, and she was a beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. But I think, and I asked her before she got really sick, I said, "Mom, if you could have made a different choice, would you have made a different choice now?" Mm-hmm. She said, "Now I would have." Mm. Because, what we do is we give up hope, we give up happiness, we give up our joys, and we become isolated. Yeah. And that is depression. So if my mother was alive now and got Alzheimer's, I would not encourage that. I would say, "You're going to meet a lot of new people, Mother. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take you places and you're going to meet a lot of new people." But I did understand what she meant. But I think that if the love and the sexual drive and all that stuff is not the whole thing, but if that dies and it's over and you don't even try to stay social, you don't even have to have, sex or anything, but you can have social life. Yeah. And if you cut down and you shut yourself down, you will go into a depression. And I think that's what happened to my mother.
Mm-hmm. And let me say this. You just hit something on the head. I have a group.
Yeah.
Called the Single Black Seniors Network.
Yeah.
They out there. But they are doing that for that reason. They may have lost a spouse or a loved one. So they're just socializing together in a safe environment, but they're keeping each other encouraged.
Yes.
So I really, my girlfriend Jerry Norrington, she has a group. They're almost nationwide, and they're doing that just to keep the companionship going.
Exactly.
Exactly. They are Zoom social media fanatics. They are zooming out, meeting.
There you go.
Playing cards, bingo, you name it. They're doing it all.
That's what I'm saying. And that's keeping them alive.
Yes. Absolutely. So let's do this. Let's talk about, and I want to get the name right. You have now created a foundation. Now, is the foundation Remembering the Good Times or the Good Times Foundation?
No, Remembering the Good Times and Alzheimer's Foundation.
Fantastic. So tell us about this outreach.
Okay, so it's rememberingthegoodtimes.org.
Okay, got that.
And you can go there. I did this because my mother and I were watching television and we were watching Good Times. She always watched Good Times. She loved it. Mm-hmm. And she was way deep in her Alzheimer's, at that point. And so she looked at the Good Times and she saw Thelma and JJ fighting and everything. And she and I were sitting right next to each other. Mm-hmm. And she was laughing. And she said to me, she turned to me because she knew a correlation, but couldn't get it right. So she looked at me and she looked at the television and she said, that's a cute little old girl. Mm-hmm. And it shocked me because I didn't realize she didn't know it was me. Yeah. And I said, Mommy, yes, she is a cute little girl. And I didn't argue with her or anything. And I left it at that. Yeah. But I said, oh my God, it was a knife in my heart. And it twisted because I said, this monster of the mind has taken the memory that has changed our lives. Yeah. And she no longer knew that I was Thelma. So I said, after that, I'm gonna name a foundation called Remembering the Good Times, an Alzheimer's Foundation in honor of my mother.
Let me say, you just hit it. I'm not gonna cry on this end. Very often when I'm in the community, I go to church meetings and senior meetings. And there was one instance some years ago where I was going and I think they had asked me to come in and speak to the seniors, but we call them people getting better with age. And long story short, this one lady, I don't know, some color I had on reminded her of high school.
Yes.
She just started talking to me. She said, "Oh, you remember when we had on our skirts and that yellow blouse? That is so pretty. Do you remember, girl?" I said, "Yes, I do." I said, "We had so much fun."
That's right.
Her husband grabbed my hand and he said, "Thank you," because I didn't pull her out.
You kept her in.
Threw her away. I pulled her in.
You went in with her.
That's right. And I now have so much compassion and empathy for anyone who is just serving older Americans. I mean, period.
Oh, yes.
And it brought a tear to me. So we're going to talk. Well, we're going to put that foundation up. But let me say this, and we'll have to get you back on again because
I would love it. And this time I want you to talk to Kevin Fontana. And I'll give you his number.
Okay, we'll get that after the broadcast. But let me say this. I am so excited because watching your performance and your career on Good Times, you were all for the woman. You know what I'm saying? So here we are, 2021, 1600 Pennsylvania is going to have a new face. And let me say, Senior Talk, we are nonpartisan. But I just want your closing remarks. We have about 3 more minutes on just the year of the woman in leadership. Because you have been a staple with your words and inspiring underprivileged Black girls to, aspire towards success. So what do you want to say as a strong servant leader yourself to the new incoming, cabinet of our new presidency, but just to strong women across the country? Because this is the year of the woman, and there are so many women taking leadership in politics.
Yes. And it's because, women, I think they're starting to see that women are the best leaders because we manage generations, know, so we can manage a country. So it's like we have to always remember that we gave birth. We are the birth givers, and we are the real leaders. We help our husbands. We do our thing, but most times they get most of their inspiration from us. So we are the inspiration of the world. So what we must do is always be the best, because all our young girls are looking at us. We must teach them, fear not, be a lady, use your femininity. Don't become masculine because you're a leader. Don't become masculine because you are you have your own everything. You still have to be a lady.
You know what?
You be a lady and you be a leader.
That's a t-shirt. Brand that t-shirt. Fear not and be a lady. Brand that title. That is it. So it is important that I started off our show as you were in our virtual green room, and I told people this is Giving Tuesday. And that was why it was important to have you. We have a series that we do on Senior Talk called A Legend Speaks, and that is why you are with us today.
Thank you.
I have followed you. I have just been inspired, just as you said, by being classy and having poise at all times. The visibility of strong Black women in the 70s. Hello, let's be clear. I mean,
like female teenager ever on television.
That's right. That's right. And so it was just very important to have your voice, and I definitely will be welcoming you back. So what is next ahead for 2021 for you?
Oh, my daughter again. Goodness. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we just have 1 minute. I said, what's ahead for 2021 for you?
What has 2020 done for me?
No, what is ahead for the next year for you?
I'm going to be doing some writing. I have some ideas on some stories written for African Americans in particular. I'm going to have all nationalities in there, but African American women of our age, of my age. I don't know your age yet, but my age, and I want to write stories for us. Because there are not enough stories telling our stories.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell everyone, I want to thank those who have been tuning in through our Facebook, YouTube. This is an audio recording. We will be sharing this with many other communities who want to hear it. I want to thank you, Bern Nadette Stanis, just for being as transparent and still just always just being who you are, just a naturally nice human being, first of all. I appreciate you. So what we're going to do is we're going to share her information about her foundation. I think it is critical. We'll also be sharing about the African American Alzheimer's Division outreach for Alzheimer's. This is a critical time in our life, and we want to tell people, please don't self-diagnose. There is help for you.
Yes.
And don't be afraid. A lot of us are afraid. Somebody is always going through something. Don't be intimidated by saying, I need help. We are here to serve you. So everyone, it's been my pleasure to serve you. I am your granddaughter known as Senior Talk with Clara Hubbard. Don't forget, for more information on this broadcast and for future events and upcoming resources, go to seniortalkmedia.com. God bless you, Bern Nadette Stanis. Thank you for who you are, and we look forward to seeing and working with you in the near future.
Okay, Clara. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.